Welcome to Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. I'm Shari Strong, the host of your show. Welcome back. And if this is your first time joining us, we're excited that you're here. This week, we're going to be talking about mining for gold. So just a quick review. Last week, we talked about the Pat Summit method, and it was a way of reflecting on your past and looking for the good things that you have done and rewarding yourself. And it also gave you a way to focus on 2 or 3 things in the future that you can work on. So this week, mining for gold, what does that mean? Well, being here in the coal mine country, coal is the gold for many around here. And the oil fields, oil is their gold. So my question for you today is, what's your gold? And return after the break, we're going to discuss that, how to find it, how to use it, and how you can bring it to you and use some value. Return after the break.
I've had this problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
a good executive coach.
And I kept searching and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
If you are looking for one as well,
Look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
problem gone.
Thank you.
Welcome to Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. I'm Shari Strong, your host of the show, and this is where we give you tips, tools, and techniques to help you be a better you. So this week, we're going to talk about mining for gold. So what does that mean? So let's talk about that for a few minutes. So often, people don't understand what their strengths are, and really what their talents are, and then how to marry the two. And what we call that in the industry, in the self-development, professional development industry, is the 75-25 rule. Most people end up focusing on 75% of their time on their weaknesses. So have you ever been sitting in an interview or a review with your boss, and they're going down all the things that you've done well? You know that list is usually long, right? No. So usually they focus on the things that you need to improve upon. Now, it's not that you shouldn't. It's just, unfortunately, in society and even in colleges and school, we end up focusing on 25% of what our weaknesses are, or 25%, which happens to be our weaknesses, versus 75%, which is our strengths, what we already have. That's what we're going to talk about today, because we're that 75%, what you should be focusing on is where your gold is. That's where your future is. So today is for you. If you want to tap into maybe that dream that you thought about, something that you know you could do. Maybe you've been dreaming about opening up your own business here in Bell County, and you just have been putting it off. Well, let's figure out what that will look like. Today is for you if you know that you can be better, you're just not quite sure how to get there. And today is for you if you know you might be having a job that's going to be changing, whether it's forced upon you or not. And you need to know what your strengths are, your weaknesses, and your talents, so you can marry those, and then in the future be intentional about being happy, being successful, and what that looks like in the future. So my question, first of all, I'll tell you a little story. I knew when I was 10 years old what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a superstar. I was going to be Shari. Okay, that's my joke of the day. Every week, you know, we get one joke. So I was going to be a singer. I mean, I can remember, now this is going to tell my age. I can remember when I was 10, sitting with the green and yellow shag carpet and the pink record player, and I had Peaches and Herb on a 45. That's a plastic disc. It's kind of like a CD today, but we put it on this record player and we would put a little thing on there and it would rotate around and make sound. It was awesome. So I would listen to Peaches and Herb. Man, Reunited would just get me so inspired. Now I was 10. But it would inspire me. I would write song after song, like, 2, 3, 10 songs sometimes. But that one day, I knew I had it. I knew when I was 10, I was going to be in front of people, inspiring them with my songs. Now, fast forward, we'll just say a few years. Now, I still sing in church, and I used to sing, won some karaoke contests in my day. But now I'm in front of people, inspiring them in a different way. But the talents and my strengths are still being utilized. What I loved then is what I use now to make a living, and it doesn't seem like work. Have you heard the cliche that if you find a job that you can do, something that you love, the money will come in and it won't feel like work? That's where I'm at. And that's what I want to give to you today, is how do you uncover that? How do you bring that back? So think back, when you were 10, what did you want to be? A teacher? And a firefighter? A doctor? See, here's the thing, it's not too late. I didn't start this until a few years ago. There was a long path and a journey to be there, but it wasn't until I got intentional and really started working on myself before that happened. So that's where we're going to go today. And when I have a little acronym, and I use the word strong. I want to help you be strong too. And the strong stands for, here's what they stand for. So the S, what we're going to talk about today, is strengths. We're going to help identify your strengths. The T stands for talents. What are your talents? And then we're going to talk about what the difference is between the strengths and talents, because a lot of people don't understand the difference and how to bring them together. The R stands for really motivates you, your reasons. What motivates you? Why do you do what you do? And we'll get into that in a future episode. The O stands for obstacles. What are the obstacles in the past and how did you overcome them? Because that ends up being a strength. And in the future, as you start being intentional with what you want to do, what are the obstacles that you can anticipate? Because here's the thing, there's going to be obstacles. I think we have this dream that when we start this business, when we go to do this, it's just going to be all cherries, and it's not. It's unrealistic to think there's not going to be obstacles. The key is to overcome them and anticipate them. The N is your needs versus your wants. So what do I need to do what I want? So, and there's pros and cons to both, and we can overuse both and go to either area a little bit too soon, and that comes into decision making, which is another episode coming up. So we've got this all planned out for you. And then G is ultimately the goal. What is the goal? So to be strong, you need to identify your strengths, understand your talents, know what really matters to you, your reasons for doing it, overcome your obstacles, understand your needs versus your wants, and then set the goal. Go do it. So that's what today is going to be here. So after all the years that I have worked in sales and team building and helping people accelerate and do more and have more, I have realized that people tend to work against themselves. So they end up putting, so we talked about at the beginning of the show, the 75-25. So most people put 75% of their effort in the weaknesses, the things that they want to improve. So think about that. When you go into that review and your boss says, hey, you're doing great, Joe. You did a good job last month, but here's what I want you to work on. So then what do? We go find a book, we find a seminar, we go to a class, that's on the 25%, that's focused on the 25%. Now, I'm not saying get rid of that because it's still a quarter of what we need to focus on. What I am telling you is, and asking you is, when's the last time you read a book, went to a seminar, or engaged in any type of activity that was focused on the 75%? So that's what this is about, is from now on, I want you asking yourself, how does this benefit me moving the 75% that I'm good at and focus on that and move forward versus always focusing on weaknesses. Weaknesses, my weaknesses are my weaknesses. They're going to be there forever. I'm never going to fix them. I am who I am all day long. But what I can offer you is you want to work on those, be aware of them. So if you tend to interrupt, let's say, just because you're excited, I used to do this all the time. I just got excited and I would interrupt somebody and, offer my thoughts on it. I guess that wasn't what you were supposed to do. Now, it's still a weakness of mine, but what I've had to do is just become aware of it. So when it happens, I just have to kind of bite my tongue, take a breath, realize I don't need to offer something in every conversation. But my strengths, the 75%, that's where I've really focused. Hence, in the last 3 years, I have left my dream job, started my own business, and I'm here now helping you, living the dream. So no matter 3 years, 30 years of when I focus on weaknesses, I was right where I was. But when I focus on strengths, everything catapults forward. So when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about the differences between strengths and talents, what they are, how to identify them, and we're going to give you some exercises to go into that. So I'm going to give you a little teaser. A strength, just something to think about, is they are your go-to abilities. They allow you to be consistent on a daily basis. So I'll give you a quick personal example. I'm very driven. So you give me a task, if I'm bought into it, I am going to be tunnel vision almost to a fault. So that is a strength of mine, follow through, getting things done. I had a boss one time say, Shari, you just get it done all the time. So what is a strength of yours? Typically, they're things like patience, confidence, empathy, those types of things. So be thinking about that on the break. And then the talent is your natural abilities. So these are the things that just come naturally to you. So things like, for me, speaking comes naturally to me. It's a talent. Singing kind of came natural to me. Then I started getting some training in it. So it's a talent, something that are a natural ability. So over the break, I want you to be thinking about what you think your strengths are, what your talents are, and when we come back, I'm going to give you some specific exercises to go into pinpointing your strengths, pinpointing your talents, give you a few exercises to do, a few examples, and then we're going to hop on into this.
In the fast-paced global environment of the 21st century, leadership development isn't just a fluffy idea of how to make people feel good. It is a key business strategy and a crucial element of your organization's competitive advantage, or your personal competitive advantage. You'll gain personal tools that will help you design, develop, and implement a plan that you or your team can actually achieve in areas such as communication skills, basic leadership laws, and self-awareness. Concourse A Leadership 101 is designed to help your personal and professional leadership fly to new levels. Start this concourse and earn 10,000 bonus miles when complete.
And today we're actually talking about leading yourself, mining for the goal that you have so you can be intentional moving forward. So I asked you earlier, what is it that you wanted to be when you were 10? And now if I asked you, what is it you want to be when you grow up? It doesn't matter your age. What would the answer be? So to be intentional and get what you want out of life, I think most people in the world today are just out there going through the motions. They get up, they go to work, they pay the bills, they come home, they have dinner, have kids, and I'm not saying they're not happy. What I am saying is eventually kids will be gone, the job will change, community changes, and then you're sitting there going, what just happened? I just let it happen to me. Most people let life happen to them. And what I'm encouraging you to do is to start thinking about, where do you want to be? So we were talking about the differences of strengths and talents and bringing those together so that you can go in the future where you want to go. So a strength, very quickly, is they are your go-to abilities. They allow you to be consistent, like your natural innate abilities. I gave you the example of I'm very driven, patience, confidence, good listener. Well, your talents are your natural abilities. So those are things that just come naturally to you. So to give you another example, let's imagine that you love designing women's clothes. Okay, so if you love designing women's clothes, you like the patterns and cutting them out and figuring out, what looks good on this person and that person, and you have a natural ability, you know how to sew. Now, I don't know how to do a stitch, right? So that'd be natural if you haven't learned it. And even if you have learned it, you like it, it's a natural ability. But let's say you're not passionate about sewing. You like the designing, but you're not passionate about sewing. So you like the designing part, so that is your strength. The talent is sewing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do the sewing too. So we're going to talk about that more a little bit and dig into it. So why do you need to pinpoint this? So why is this important? So let's just talk about that real quick. I'm going to use Olympic athletes as an example. Olympic athlete runners get measured in milliseconds. When you look on TV, so like Olympic runners, they'll say, athlete A came in and ran the race in 3 minutes, 42.24 seconds. Athlete B, 3 minutes, 42.15 seconds. Athlete C, 3 minutes, 41 seconds, 41.32 seconds. Less than 3 seconds separated the three. Guess who makes the most money? The person in the front, the person who got the gold. So the reason why this is so important is because when you start marrying your strengths and you start putting 75% of your time on your strengths, so let's say athlete C who won the race, their strength was getting out of the blocks. I guarantee you, if I went and interviewed somebody and that's their strength, where do you think they spent most of their time? Getting out of the blocks quicker, because they know how. It's natural. It's their talent. Now, they'll put 25% of their time. Let's say they couldn't end the race as strong, but they still won. So they put 25% of their effort into ending strong, 75% of their effort into what they're already good at to get better. And that's what catapulted them, and they got the gold, 3 seconds. So that's why it's so important. So let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you have your pen and paper. And I'm going to encourage you, if you didn't do this in the very beginning last week, do it now or do it for next week. Get a little notebook, just a notebook from the dollar store, and let it be your lead, follow, or get out of the way notebook for your own self-development plan. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to focus on your vision first. This is very key. It is your life vision. So we looked at the past, right? Where did you want to be when you were 10? Where do you want to be in the future? And right now is a really good time to do this, because the year 2020, 5 years away, is a great marker. So if you're really going to play full out, close your eyes. I want you to think about this. I want you to imagine this. In 2020, where are you going to be? What are you going to have? Are you going to be right where you are today? How old will your kids be? What will your spouse look like? right? Like these are things, when you really start to pinpoint it, what will your title be? How much are you going to have in savings? See, the most successful people take time to do this. They don't just take time to reflect. They take time to visualize what it is they want in the future, and then they become intentional on getting it. You have to have that vision of what it is. And this is important because obstacles, when they come up, or anything, it could be a friend is an obstacle to what you want in the future. So, your friends, now I'm not saying that you have to give up on all your friends and what they're doing, but what it is going to do is help you ask yourself the question, does this help me get closer to my goal, or does this help me, or does it not help me get closer to the goal? And the better you can get at being intentional in what you want, the odds of being successful increase, just like the Olympic athlete. So, what's your vision? Close your eyes. What does it look like? Write that down. It's going to help you discern what you want in the future. All right, number 2. Spend some time on this week. So this is just getting you started. I would suggest taking 20, 30 minutes in the next week and take time, invest in this. Number 2, character traits. What are your best character traits? You know, what do people tell you? You know, Joe, you're a great listener. You know, man, I feel so comfortable when I'm with you. You're just always so happy. You're so reliable. So write down, list down your good character traits, and then on the opposite, I want you to write down the negatives. Again, so mine was interrupting. It was for good intentions because I was so excited, but it was not good. So I had to be aware. Again, we're not trying to get rid of them. We want to become more aware of them. So positive and not so positive. And if you're not quite sure, find a person that is willing to tell you the truth. Not the one that's just going to be like, you're awesome, but the one that's going to give you some truth to it. Here's what I think you do great, and here's what I think maybe you could work on. And take the feedback. Don't make excuses, just say thank you. Write those down. Okay, the third thing. What gets you excited? Just intrinsically, what gets you excited? This gets me excited. When I'm excited about being here, I mean, I'm willing to prepare. I'm writing these ideas down, thinking of the stories I want to tell you, right? Somebody tells me I get to go in front of people and help inspire them. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to be there. It gets me excited. What gets you that excited? And it might be things like volunteering, church work, food bank. It might be something like that, right, where you're not necessarily making money on. So I want people tend to add that to it. Just write down, what gets me really excited? What do I like to do? Then the next step, why? So why do I like doing this? I mean, public speaking, right? I think it's the #1 fear for most people behind snakes for men. So why do I like to do this? Because ultimately, when I see the light bulb go off for somebody, or when one of you writes me and tells me how you've changed your life, like even thinking about that, I don't even know you personally. I believe in you. I believe in people. And if you can't tell, I'm very passionate about it. So why do I do this? It's because I know I can change the world. Just me. I can. And I know that. That's why I do it. So write down why you do and why you like what you do. So to wrap this up, those are the 3 things. What's your vision? What do you see in the next 5 years? If money were no object, and I'm not talking about being the king of England, okay, or the president. I'm talking about like being realistic. What do you want from your life? 2, write down your character traits. What's positive? What's something you need to work on? 3, what gets you excited just when you're out doing? Is it photography? Is it boating? Is it singing? And why do you like it? When you do these 3 things, what we're going to do next week is we're going to come back and we're going to marry those, the strengths and the talents, and we're going to identify them. Now, there is an ebook free ebook. You can go to strongsuccessacademy.com and it's a free download. You can get an ebook called Strengths Plus Talents Equals Success, Endless Possibilities. So go ahead, download that if you want, get a notebook. But that's what we're going to be talking about next week. So focus on you. Focus on what you want. Take some time, invest in this as we move forward. Because ultimately, this is called lead, follow, or get out of the way. Are you going to lead yourself? Are you going to follow somebody else? Or are you just going to fall by the wayside and not be in the way? Our goal here, after the break, well, it's been an awesome day today. Lead, follow, get out of the way. I hope I didn't make you think too much. But ultimately, this is for you. I want you to do more, be more, have more. So I want to leave you with this thought in coming to talents and strengths. Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods are great examples of this. Natural talent, Tiger Woods, golfing, Michael Jordan, basketball. But Tiger Woods wasn't that really good at driving the ball, but he was talented, so he worked on his strengths of short irons and putting. That's what made him who he was. So that's how you can marry your talents with your strengths. So my mantra is, why marry your talents and strengths with your, when you marry your strengths with your talents, your possibilities are endless. We look forward to seeing you next week at Lead, Follow, Get Out of the Way. Thank you for being you.